Welcome back to Chillzone Chat. Today we are pretty much going to go over the Galaxy Circuit Festival and things that are going to be involved with that. We got a lot to cover, so let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going over is the C&K trials. These are very, very simple, and they are on C&K only. They work pretty much like the Relic trials for Nitro Fueled. It's pretty much the same thing. Bacon asked me what kind of version of the game you need in order to play these trials, but it really doesn't matter what version of the game you use, because obviously the PAL version is faster than the NTSCU version. As long as you're not using a glitched version, because I know you can glitch the game with like the Japanese version on like a different console that's not Japanese. As long as you're not doing that, you're fine. The main thing I need to go over with this is the glitch shortcuts that you cannot use for this, because you pretty much can't use any glitch shortcut for this. So we're going to quickly go over like the tracks and what is and is not allowed. Inferno, I think everything's fine. Boogie, you can't do lap skip. Tiny Temple, I don't think there's anything in that. Meteor Gorge, I don't think there's anything in that that's restricted. I think that's all fine. Barren Ruins, there's a couple of glitches in Barren Ruins. You can't do any of those glitches in Barren. Deep Sea Driving, there's a lap skip that you're not allowed to use. Out of Time, there's a lot, actually. I was actually talking with Hodge on this subject because there was a couple I didn't know if we wanted to use them or not. In the end, we decided that pretty much all of the glitch or close to glitch shortcuts in Out of Time are not going to be allowed. The rock cut that you can do after you do the fence shortcut, that rock cut is not allowed. The skip cut at the end of the track, where you can like jump off the track and then fall and then, you know, skip half of the map, you can't do that one. And the cut that you would usually do in Nitro Fueled after you exit the clock area, we were discussing that primarily about Out of Time. I was kind of iffy on that, and so was he. After a few minutes, we decided it's probably best not to include it. And the reason why is just because it's a bit wacky depending on what version you're using. I played Out of Time several times, and when you're doing that shortcut, it's for some reason it's just super, super wonky. Especially if you're on like the GameCube version, because I've heard the GameCube version, your jump height is actually lower than PS2s and Xboxes. Clockwork Wampa and Thunderstruck both, I think, are completely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with those tracks. Assembly Lane, I think I saw somewhere that there may be a lap skip. If that's true, you're not allowed to use that, obviously. Android Alley, I think, is completely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with Android. Electron Avenue, obviously no starting cut where you jump off to the right side, fall off the map, then you're on that like anti-grav section. You can't use the anti-grav cut whenever you're taking that jump after the laser bit. Basically no glitch shortcuts on Electron. Just play Electron the way it's, you know, without the glitches, pretty much. Hyperspaceway, you can't do the fall cut, you know, where you fall off pretty much at the start and just jump ahead. You cannot do that shortcut. And you cannot do the shortcut at the end of the track where you would jump and then get that kind of sort of jump near on that left side. You cannot shift that way. Pretty much just no glitch shortcuts. It's pretty simple. Also, I failed to include that these trials are actually my trials. This is actually the EZP40 time trials for C&K. So basically all of the times for this will be all of the times that I have gotten in the last few weeks. The next thing we're going to go over is the Champions of the Galaxy. So pretty much what this is it's exclusive to Nitro Fueled. It's various challenges throughout the planets in Crash Nitro Kart. What you need to do is you need to beat each boss's challenge, and when you do that, you earn a planet key, and then you can advance to the next planet. So basically, you start with Krunk, then you go from Krunk to Nash, then Nash to the Norms, then the Norms to Geary, and then Geary to Velo. Each planet will get more difficult as you advance along the way, and through each planet, it will basically be the tracks that are on that planet. So basically on Terra, it'll be Inferno Island, Jungle Boogie, and Tiny Temple. But it will also be the arenas. Crystal Challenge is going to be a part of this. So the three challenges that are available for the tracks will be Relic Race, Ring Rally, and CTR Challenge. Basically, you have to get a really high score in Ring Rally. For Relic Race and CTR challenges, you're just going to have to complete them in a really fast time. And the same goes with the Crystal challenges and the Battle Mode arenas. Basically, it'll start off pretty difficult, I would say. It's not going to be anything that's too easy. And as you move forward, you just try to do your best to see how far you can get. I don't expect, honestly, anyone to probably beat the entire thing. If you do, props to you. I think this is going to be a big grind, and if you do beat this, props to you. Again, the keys that you earn from each planet will be stored away for a later use in a future festival. They will not be available to use this festival. Next, we will go over turf circuits. Turf circuits, if you've played them before, honestly, you pretty much know what's up. They are completely revamped, though, for the most part. And if you have played turf circuits before and you hold on to a specific turf, you are still holding on to that turf. I did not remove that. So, for example, Bacon had Crash Cove the last time we did turf circuits. He still holds Crash Cove. I think the main differences with turf circuits is that instead of a 7-game series, it's a 5-game series, so it's a first to 3 instead of 4. We're also going to kind of limit it with turf circuits because the main reason why this was removed in the first place was because people have to take breaks when they play CTR. This game is over 5 years old, and we get tired of playing sometimes. And so there's going to be times where you just don't want to play, and you got other stuff going on. So the biggest thing that has been included with turf circuits is break weeks. Basically, you will have a certain amount of break weeks for each year for turf circuits. So that way, if you're in the middle of, like, I don't know, winter of some kind, and you've got finals going on, a bunch of tests, and you've got a really, really busy week, and you've got somebody that's wanting to take some of your turf, then that's a great opportunity to use a break week because you just do not have time to play CTR, as well as other times where you're just not in the mood for CTR. And then that way we can still have turf circuits, but not to the point where it's going to be active 24/7. That way we have it and we can play it for fun, but it's not something that you have to stress about. If you have more questions, there's going to be more info in the Discord on launch day. And also you can just ask me any questions because with turf circuits, there's a lot of information regarding that, a lot of small rules that I just don't really talk about because it would take absolutely ages to go over. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. The next thing we are going to go over the roadmap. So this is our first Chillzone roadmap ever. We didn't do this for seasons. We didn't do this at any point in the Chillzone ever. But we are going to do this for festivals, hopefully in the future. But for right now, I've already got the next few festivals already planned out for probably till mid-2025, maybe even late 2025, depending on what other stuff comes out. But basically, let's go over this real quick. Obviously, on August 26th, we have the Galaxy Circuit, the Festival 2, that is coming out. As you can see at the very bottom, we'll go over it. The Crash Nitro Kart celebration is here. Race across the galaxy and return to familiar territory that helped inspire the creation of Nitro Fueled. Basically, we're just celebrating Crash Nitro Kart. It's going to be a fun celebration. This whole year in general is kind of just about celebration for things, including Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and things related to it. Obviously, with the first festival, we had the 5-year anniversary for CTRNF. For this, we are celebrating really the 20-year anniversary of Crash Nitro Kart. Even though it was last year, I was not available at all last year, and we didn't do anything Chillzone related later on in the year other than like in January. So we're doing that this year instead. I know we're a little bit late on it, but we are doing it. Festival 3 is going to be celebrating the Chillzone's 5th anniversary. The Chillzone in December will turn 5 years old. Now, that's not necessarily when the festival will come out. I don't know the release date of it. All I know is that it will come out in the winter at some point. The Chillzone's 5-year anniversary is on the horizon. Join us in a great time as we return with major quality of life changes. I have some decent things planned for that update. I think that update in general will be quite a bit of fun. We are going to have quite a hefty break after this festival. We're going to have at least 3 or 4 months. So it'll be a while before that's out. But I think we'll have some cool stuff for that update. Last but not least on this, at some point in 2025, we will have an unknown Festival 4. I know what Festival 4 is. You guys do not, and you will not know until we get into 2025 and we get to the trailer of that. It will be a while before that is out. The Chill Zone is back, and oh great, we are trapped in another universe. Enjoy the wacky return of the Chill Zone in a new dimension under new management. Take with that what you will, but that is all we will have for Festival 4 info at the moment. All right, let's go over the Nitro Top 10. So this is my first time doing this on a Chillzone Chat. With Nitro Top 10s, basically the whole point of these is how were your results in the Chillzone tournaments. That's how it's pretty much always been. The more tournaments you play in, the better chance you have of ranking higher, at least if you've placed well. Obviously, some tournaments will rank higher than others. So if you play in a tournament with like 4 people, and that's not going to be a huge deal, but if you play in a tournament with like 10 people and there's a lot of good players that show up, that win is going to count for much, much more. A win is huge in this. Absolutely huge. And a second place is also good, much more than a third place, but a third place is still solid. Fourth place really only does anything if it's a bigger tournament. If it's fourth place in like a 5 or 6 player tournament, it's not that big of a deal. Let's just go ahead and get started. At 10th place, we have Sand, who does not have any major placements in the tournaments. However, he did all right for the most part. He performed quite well. It was quite close between him and Danny for the 10th spot, but Sand played in more tournaments. Danny only played in one, that one being the Chillzone Championship. Danny did place 2 points higher than Sand, but other than that, Sand has overall, I think, had a better festival than Danny, which is why I placed him ahead of Danny. Also, knowing Danny, I know he would have 100% placed Sand above him as well. In 9th place, we have Hodge, who also doesn't have any major placements, but he did okay in the Chillzone Championship, so he ranks at 9th. That is the only tournament he played in, which is why in 8th place, Wolfie is going to get 8th. He and Hodge tied in the Chillzone Championship. The only difference is Wolfie played in one extra tournament than Hodge. He didn't do too great in that tournament, but he was up against me and Imp in round 1. But that's the only difference between him and Hodge. You can kind of split hairs between those two. Going into the next tier, because we now have somebody with a major placement. 7th place, Cold Corza 57. Corza only played in one tournament. However, that one tournament was the Chillzone Championship, which by far the biggest tournament, the most important tournament, might I add. Those will always be. Always, Chillzone Championships are worth more than anything else, 1,000%. And with Corza, he ranked 3rd place in the Chillzone Championship. So this one was going to be a little bit tough because 3rd place is huge in a Chillzone Championship. But he only played in one tournament. So it was kind of really close with this one. You could argue for him to be higher, but I ended up ranking him 7th. 6th place, I have Mr. Brennan. Brennan ranked 3rd place in Nitro City Speedway 2 and Nitro City Speedway 3. I believe he also did an okay job in the Chillzone Championship. I believe he got like 7th, if I remember. Yeah, he got 7th place in the Chillzone Championship. Overall, Brennan had an alright festival. Pretty solid overall. In 5th place, in the top 5, we start with Dezivi. Dezivi had one 2nd place finish, and it was in the first tournament of the festival. He did alright overall in that, and the Chillzone Championship was also pretty good. He got 6th place in the Chillzone Championship, which usually I do not care about 5th, 6th, 7th place, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to this, splitting hairs, and also the fact that the Chillzone Championship is a big tournament, that is going to matter. Especially because in 4th place, we have Imp, who also has one 2nd place finish. And his only other finish is Chillzone Championship 2024, 5th place, where he got one extra point against Dezivi. He signed Dezivi in the tournament. They have basically the same results. Imp just scored 1 point higher in the Chillzone Championship, which is why he's going to rank higher than Dezivi in this. Now, moving on to the next tier, we have the 3 players who actually won a tournament, starting with myself in 3rd place. I won the first tournament of the festival. After that, I got second place in Nitro City Speedway 3 and third place in Nitro City Speedway 4. The other two major tournaments, which were Nitro City Speedway 4 or Nitro City Speedway 2 and the Chillzone Championship 2024. Both those tournaments I placed fourth. Nitro City Speedway 2 not as much important as a fourth place. The Chillzone Championship, however, a fourth place is solid. Second place, this is going to be Matt. Matt got second place in Nitro City Speedway 2, and in Nitro City Speedway 4, he won the tournament. In the Chillzone Championship, he got second place. Had he won the Chillzone Championship, it would have gotten interesting, and he probably would have had the win. But number one, Bacon CTR. Bacon won 3 tournaments, which was automatically going to give him the win. If you've got the most wins in the season/festival, you're automatically guaranteed number one, pretty much. And in this case, he's got 3 of them, and me and Matt have 1, and nobody else has 1. So Bacon was going to be the obvious winner of this. He's got 3 first-place finishes and a third-place finish. Overall, Bacon had a fantastic festival. Congratulations to Bacon. Not only are you first place in Nitro Top 10 for Festival 1, you are also one of the only ones who has a Chillzone Championship title. Chillzone Championship titles are worth a lot because they're going to be a yearly thing. They're basically like the yearly championship, basically. Because the Chillzone, for the most part, it's going to be active slowly throughout the coming years. And so for the next year, Bacon has that title of Chillzone Champion. So the only other people that have that are me and Corza. I won the first one. Corza three-peated, and then now Bacon is a Chillzone champion. Alrighty, I'll wrap this up real quick because my voice, I'm losing it, man. I'm losing my voice. I'll answer a few questions that I got. Will turf circuits work the same as they used to? I kind of went over that a little bit, but turf circuits work a little bit differently, obviously with like the brakes and all that kind of stuff. I have a full list already prepared, so whenever that channel opens, there's going to be a full list right there that you can read. It's very simple, except for Brennan. He's not going to read it because he doesn't want to read all that. Brennan, it's pretty much the same thing. Don't worry about it. The other question I had was from Sand, who asked, what past features of the Chillzone, like profiles, trades, and some formats, etc., could possibly return in the future? Pretty much anything's up for grabs. The thing is that with how I used to do things, I used to be able to have a lot more time because in Prime Chillzone, I worked part-time. I now work a full-time job and have a part-time YouTube channel. So I have nowhere near the time that I used to. It really just depends. Essentially, my plan with festivals, and I don't think I've been asked this, but I figured I might as well just talk about it because I think I've told Matt and probably nobody else. With festivals, I intend on doing them probably 3 or 4 times a year. Definitely no less than like 2, and probably no more than like 6. I would say 5 or 6 is probably the max, but I would say 3 or 4 festivals a year is probably very likely. I don't really have anything else at this very moment. If you've got more questions, go ahead and ask. I am going to be busy Monday, so I don't know when exactly the update will drop in terms of like what time, but it will drop Monday at some point. Other than that, man, I got nothing. So, all right. Talk to y'all later. See ya.